Hello, everyone. You can hear me? Sorry about that. All right. Carlos and I are here to talk about competition, not just on Amazon, but what's going to be changing and happening over the next 12 to 15 months. Big changes are happening. So let me start off by introducing myself. My name is Steven Selikoff. I started selling to retailers in 2001, started selling online in 2005. I've had some really nice successes. I've had some fun failures. I sell across all platforms, not just Amazon, but also in retailers. And I also run something called Product Development Academy and Product Development Incubator, where we help people do the same thing, and a trip to China, where we go twice a year. So any of that interests you, let me know later on. I've been doing this for a long time. I've seen how things change. I see how things changed in 2014 and the big changes in Amazon. And I see changes that are happening right now. If you're not aware of them, hopefully you will be by the time we finish talking. More importantly, if you don't know how to respond to these changes, you're going to hopefully learn by the time we finish. Now, Carlos and I, we like doing this, but we like doing this with your involvement even more. So we're going to be asking you questions. You'll be asking us questions. We're going to keep this as engaging as possible. And the first thing we're going to do is toss it over to Carlos so he can introduce himself.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody. I'm Carlos. I've been a full-time Amazon seller now for a little over 15 years. I'm a 9-figure seller. I've been a 9-figure seller for about 5 years. Love selling online. Huge thank you to Alibaba for having us here. I can attribute the majority of my success to the start that I had on Alibaba. To this day, all of the vendors that I have, some of my greatest strategic partnerships, my inspection companies, friends, I met through Alibaba. So it was a pleasure to agree to speak here. Like you mentioned, we're going to talk about the marketplaces, the changes that are coming in the next 18 months, and more importantly, how to navigate them and succeed. I'm going to share things that I'm doing now to succeed with those changes and try to condense 15 years of what I've learned into an hour. So ask a lot of questions.
Excellent. So let's start off by switching the slide. There we go. Perfect. So, until now, as an Amazon seller, you had to focus and worry about other Amazon sellers. You've got a product and you're trying to get the best ranking. You've got other competitors out there on Amazon. They're trying to knock you off like King of the Hill. Things are changing. Now, many people know that my focus is on other than Amazon platforms. So, Carlos, you get to have some fun here and talk about how people are competing.
Yeah, I have a presence on every platform that's out there. Obviously, all my product that I source comes through Alibaba. I got my start on eBay back when it was just eBay, and Amazon was reaching out talking about try this FBA thing. So like way back then. And yeah, things have definitely changed a great deal since then. If you have just an Amazon FBA strategy, you are leaving a ton of money on the table. So again, that's something we plan on addressing here. Having a mediocre product, or even having a superior product and not doing things like phenomenal PPC, conversion crushing listings. If you're not doing those things, it doesn't matter if you have a superior product, you're going to fail nowadays on Amazon.
Yeah, so that's where we are now. Things are about to get worse. How did we get to today's situation, what we're going to talk about? After COVID, we had a bump in e-commerce. That disappeared. And we had inflation. And things changed. Prior to COVID, the typical shopper on Amazon and other e-commerce platforms were looking for something special. After COVID, as prices rose, the number one thing what people were looking for online was low prices. Guys, you are welcome to take pictures of this. We're also going to have a QR code at the end where you can actually download all of these slides yourself so you can look back at them and reference them and stuff like that. But of course, yes, you are welcome to take pictures. So we know that there's been a real shift. Consumers now are looking for lower prices. And when that happened, there's some players that recognized that and jumped on board and started taking advantage of that. Let's go to the next slide. Well, we can go backwards, going back and forth here. There we go. All right, so now we're looking at actual statistics. These are the real numbers from analytical firms that are not involved in either e-commerce or non-e-commerce or trying to push different positions. Nielsen IQ. If you hear about the Nielsen ratings on TV, it's the same company. Nielsen IQ is the branch that just spun them off that measures consumers, it measures shoppers, it measures everything that happens with people buying things in the U.S. Online, people are spending 27% more time looking for lower prices. That's a pretty damn high priority on low prices. I said high prices, not low prices. Hopefully, we won't make too many more mistakes. This trend continued. It wasn't just people walking into stores saying, hey, the prices are too high, I've got to look online. It continued even as prices leveled off. So we know that this is a new behavior. People are looking at online as a way of getting lower prices. There are going to be results to that change in behavior. That's what we're seeing.
Having said that, there is which I 100% agree with that statement, but having said that, there is phenomenal opportunity in higher priced items that you are selling online, which we're going to get into a lot more in the future slide.
Yeah, well, it's a way of differentiation. So, new low-cost platforms, I think we all know the platforms we're talking about. New low-cost platforms recognized that here's an opportunity. They came on board. They've got particular customers that responded immediately. Younger customers, the head of development for Shein told me that their avatar is a younger female. They know exactly who she is. They're not looking to expand out, but other companies are. These platforms are coming out there. They're drawing away from Amazon. Amazon did something amazing 20 years ago, and we were talking about it earlier. We were talking about this earlier. Years ago, there was eBay and Amazon. eBay was still, we're not so sure about it. Amazon built up confidence. You send your credit card out into the ether, people used to think you're a fool. Amazon is like, you have confidence. You know you're going to get your product. So everyone started on Amazon. There was this trust. Now people are looking for lower priced products. They're looking off Amazon. And of course, Amazon wants to bring them back into Amazon. That's very, very expensive. But this is a new dynamic. If people are willing to step off of Amazon and look elsewhere, then your competitor's growing. Your competitor's no longer just the other people in Amazon who are selling a similar product. Now it's people on all these other platforms also selling a similar product. People look at Amazon and they say, wow, I like this one. Yeah, I like this one. But I'm going to look over here to see if I can get the same thing for a lower price. Whether they're going to TikTok shop or see, I'm trying to get away without saying the names. They're looking off Amazon.
Having said that, it's not all doom and gloom. Having said that, every single year that I've sold, the last 15 years, there's been something that was seen as some sort of extinction level event that's going to ruin the way you sell. And in each of those, there's a tremendous opportunity when you look at what these other platforms are doing that we can look at and that we can apply in our businesses now to make a lot more money and grow our brands. So that's what we're going to get into.
Well, let's make money. I like making money. Absolutely. So, what should you do, or more importantly, what should you not do? Oh, I'm on the wrong slide. So, let's talk about specifically what's happened over the last year or so, what's going to be happening. Shein saw an opportunity, they went out there, and customers started shopping on Shein. And they have this really wonderful back-end algorithm. So does Temu, they followed suit. People started looking at Temu as well. TikTok Shop. In fact, TikTok Shop has a trend where it says, look at this Donna Karan dress, I can get the same thing for $20. This dupe trend on TikTok Shop. Walmart.com, I listened to Walmart. I was at a presentation with Walmart.com talking to factories, saying this is what you do. We want to work with you to sell directly to US customers. You all saw the stuff from the leaked article about Amazon, Amazon's new division selling directly from factories to customers. That's happening. I talked with 2 of their reps last February. If anyone follows me in my group, you saw I posted about meeting them in Shanghai. End of February, spoken to some other people. Separately, and we'll talk about it in a moment, not everything you heard in that leaked article is true. Some things are not, as that article said. All of this is happening. Years ago, there was riots in Los Angeles, and a friend of mine, his father-in-law, bought tons of real estate. Everyone thought everything was crashing. He went in there and bought tons of real estate. He recognized that there were opportunities in the chaos. And in this chaos that's happening, there are opportunities. We want you to make money. You can't just ignore it.
Yeah. Also, one of these things is interesting to look at, especially with the partners that I have developed over the years at Alibaba, is this sort of cuts both ways. So if you are in a category that your product is in the lower price side, leveraging, again, no affiliation, but like leveraging the contacts you have in China by Alibaba and taking advantage of these same opportunities through things like SKU drop or portless or something like that is going to allow you to do this sort of China direct, if you will, and it can really help you grow your business.
So now we get to why we're here. We're here because there are opportunities in the chaos, and frankly, you can leverage Alibaba to take advantage and start getting a chance to make money in the chaos. So what do you want to not do? First of all, don't ignore it. Don't sit back and say, nothing's happening. That's terrible. Now, Carlos and I are going to play ping pong with this for a while. I'm going to start off. Do not neglect differentiation. Differentiation at this point is going to be your best friend. The new platforms are all going to be focused on fungible products, commodity products, the same as this. The more you differentiate, the better you have a chance to stand out and to win. And we're going to talk about differentiation a lot, but differentiation at this point is your #1 weapon.
This slide right here, if you do this, if you apply this to anything new that you're doing, this is sort of like my blueprint of a product that I'm putting out. If I can't differentiate it, if there's not amazing marketing opportunities that I can do with this product, I'm not going to do it. It's just a hard pass for me. One of the biggest reasons that I've heard, and I'm sure Steve has a lot more, especially amongst some of the wizards of ecom here, thank you guys for being here by the way, is the cost of differentiating. There's this intimidating factor, like I don't want to risk too much in differentiating it. Well, that's really not a luxury you have. You're gonna pay for that. So if you try to avoid, say, that mold, or there's a lot of other ways to differentiate beside a mold, but if you try to avoid that, thinking you're taking a safer route, you're gonna pay for that for the life of the product through hemorrhage PPC, through lower conversions. I mean, there's a million ways why that's a bad idea. So if you're looking to launch a product, if I had to say one thing here, that's it, and leave, is do not sell me too products. Like, those days have passed.
Absolutely. How many people here, you mentioned Miami earlier, how many people here are from Miami? Woo! Okay. of those people
Love you
from
guys.
Miami, how many people from Miami are here particularly to hassle this guy? I'm going to stand over here. They throw
Have
things.
good aim.
They throw things.
Few of them will.
All right. It's a differentiation. Yeah, as you said, it might be the cost of a mold. You don't have to pay a lot for differentiation. You got to know your customers. So I had a product a few years back. Dog Snores was the name of the product. It was the first product that I had in Bed Bath & Beyond. First product, it was $1 million product. I don't talk about sales, I talk about profits. First product, that was $1 million product. So what was Dog Snores? How many people here have dogs? Come on, how many people have dogs? All right.
Unsure?
Your spouse has a dog, but you don't.
Somebody's feeding that dog.
How many people let the dog sleep on the human bed? Oh yeah, on the human bed. In the US, 52% of dog owners let the dog sleep on the human bed. 72% small dog owners let the dog sleep on the human bed. That means more dogs sleep on the human bed than sleep in dog crates, dog kennels, dog houses, dog beds combined. So I had a product for dogs that sleep on the human bed. Pillowcases. One half the bed said the dog sleeps here. One half the bed said the wife sleeps here. The very edge jumbled in said the husband sleeps here. And we had a bunch of others like that. It sold wonderfully. That's differentiation. Pillowcases are a stagnant category. We printed little funny sayings on them. We had a lot of them for dogs, some for cats. We then expanded out to the throw pillows. For those people who have dogs, I get to say this because we're talking about dogs now. We had a throw pillow that said a spoiled bitch lives here. We can say that now because we're talking about dogs. For cats, we had one that said Pavlov never owned a cat. Differentiation. Differentiation does not need to cost a lot. But you do need to know your customers. You all laughed when you said, yeah, the dog, the wife, you were waiting because you know where the husband was going to be. Know your customers. Differentiate intelligently. And it doesn't have to cost a whole lot of money.
I would add to that to say, in my experience, what I've done is, we're an advanced group. Being able to speak to a lot of you over the last day, we're not just asking questions like, what is FBA? And we're in a more advanced group, so you know to look at reviews, you know to look where to look.
What is FBA? Do the guys from Miami know how to spell FBA?
Oh, now I'm going to move.
Okay.
So one of the big brain moves, if you will, that you can do in your business, I do this all the time, is I have this idea, I looked at product reviews, I leverage ChatGPT now, I did all these things to figure out how this thing could differentiate. I looked at this coffee carafe and I'm like, double-walled borosilicate would be great. I don't know how to do it. You know who does? The factory that I'm talking to in Alibaba, and has had that factory for longer than I've been alive, and is extremely skilled in this thing. Just opening up a conversation with them and saying, look, this is this idea that I have, and this is why I think it's going to work, and I want to do it with you. Working with them and bouncing those ideas back and forth to do it has been one of the biggest brain moves that I could do. I recommend doing it. Don't just look at that factory or that relationship as a transaction, just purely transactional. Talk to them, leverage the knowledge that they have on that side and do it.
Absolutely. And a shout out to Wizards of Ecom and the folks from Miami. Don't ignore your marketing. Don't ignore your branding. That's going to set you apart. We're going to talk about more about that in a moment. Don't compete on price alone. If you're competing on price against other people on Amazon, you're going to be vulnerable to those people who look off Amazon for lower prices. Make sure that your differentiation is more than just having a lower price. These are things don't do. And we're going to go into this a little bit, but don't depend on having 2-day delivery on Amazon and the other ones are longer and it's 9 to 16 days or whatever, or the de minimis rule, section 321, they can get it in under $800. We'll talk about those loopholes in a moment, but cut the suspense. Don't depend on those lasting forever. And don't ignore new markets. There are new markets. And I'm going to throw my favorite in there as well, which is selling offline as well as online.
Yeah, I would also, I'd love for everybody to leave here with something that you could do now to your listing, wherever you're selling. Let's just say on Amazon. I'll tell you, somebody want one thing that I'm doing right now that allows me to sell my product for more, has a very low upfront cost, and increases conversions. You would want that. So one of the things I do, and don't bail on me, stick with me on this, is, and to Steve's point, that it doesn't have to cost a lot of money, is, as a matter of fact, I'll put one of my friends out there. Is Tom back there? No? Okay, bathroom, okay. But he's open to this. Don't get me wrong, if you guys share your product with me, I'm not going to put it out on stage. He's okay with me saying this. But if you guys just pulled out your phone and you looked at Leaves and Soul, if you just looked at the brand Leaves and Soul, and you looked at some of the liquid fertilizers, you'd notice that there's a mobile app showing up next to a fertilizer. It's very easy and affordable to get an app created and have a mock-up of a phone sitting right next to your product. And when somebody sees that, there is a downloadable for this product, whether it's a how-to, a best practices to use, an FAQ, a matter for the warranty, anything you think of. You're allowed to put that there. It allows you to sell it for more. There's a higher perceived value. It increases conversion rate. Think of your product. Think of yoga blocks. Like, I can't think of a worse product that I would want to sell. No offense to anyone selling yoga blocks. But if you're selling a bunch of yoga blocks and one of them on that search page has a module of an actual app sitting next to it, which one are you going to sell? Which one's going to get your attention? If anything, it's like, how is an app connected to this yoga block? And imagine if that thing said free sun salutations. I'm a downward-facing dog, which is the most painful thing in the world. If it said something like that, you're like, wow, this is added value. It would increase conversions. It would allow you to sell it for more. And that's one. It costs almost nothing to do.
And it differentiates you.
You could do that when you leave here, and then message me, thank you.
Let's stay on that for a second. How many people in their products put in a little thank you card or something, or says please register, and they try to get the email and contact information? Just raise your hand if you do that. More people need to be doing that. Come on, don't be embarrassed. Raise your hand if you don't do it. All right, everyone who didn't raise your hand for one question or the other, wake up. All right, wouldn't it be nice though if you could just automatically get their email contact? That'd be fantastic. Do what Carlos just said. Add in an app. When people go out to the app, give them some sort of bonus. They just have to register. Now you have their email. Every single person. Now, if you have some sort of gadget or some sort of little cool thing that it does, every male that buys your product is going to register and get that little cool little thing that they can download.
And if anyone catches me in the hall, you want to see examples, I'll open the phone, I'll show you listings where that's happening here. That listing that has it. And by the way, we crank out these apps, we crank these things out for like $1,500. So some of you people are thinking like $50,000. You're imagining this huge number for an app. It's not that. It's one-time cost or something like that. Imagine you increase your sales price by $5 and you sell, let's go on the low end, a few hundred units a month, which is hopefully you win a lot more than that. You paid for that in the first month. For the life of that product, you're making a lot more.
Excellent. So these are things not to do. Let's jump to the next slide. We talked about differentiation. On Alibaba, along the side are filters. If you filter for OEM, there it is right there. Those are factories, thank you, 30 minutes. All right. She's running to the bathroom now. Hopefully she'll come back in 15 minutes. All right. OEM, those are the factories that can actually modify your products. So you look for factories that do OEM, and now you can modify the products. That's just a real simple way that Alibaba makes it easier for you to differentiate significantly and make your products, stand out, compete, competitive, whatever.
One of the
No, you can keep going.
One of the things I'm doing here, and this is relatively new. Again, I don't want anyone. By the way, I'm up here sharing like all these things that I do. For everything I share with you, I failed in 10 other things. This is just accumulated of 15 years. But one of the things I'm now doing with new products, and I learned in an unrelated niche, and I highly recommend you do this, is just trying to get really. I still am. I'm on the mission. I'm going to get really good at YouTube. I want to start using other platforms to leverage my product sales. I identified that one as one of them. But to get really good on that platform, they have an acronym, and that is before you script something, before you record anything, they have the TTH method. I love those little acronyms. It's title, thumbnail, hook. It doesn't matter how good your content is, like your product. If it's not packaged right, it's not going to work. So in this case, don't record, don't script, don't do any of the heavy lifting until you have a great title, a great hook, and a great thumbnail. So I was like, man, this seems like it could really apply to products or Amazon. What is your thumbnail? That's your main image. Your title, we get it. Your hook is a little harder to pin, but let's call it your bullets and your secondary images. At this stage right here, when I'm working with an OEM factory, I'm not placing any orders for anything until I nail that title, thumbnail, and hook. And I nail it by leveraging things like pick food, by leveraging things like product cleaning, by leveraging brains like this guy. I'm leveraging the heck out of this before I'm placing any orders. Like, I know this is a winner. I want to get a 70-30 split my way in these pick food. You guys use pick. Who doesn't use pick food, by the way? Doesn't use? Nobody here uses pick food? We'll get to that. Okay.
How many people here differentiate their products? Stand up if you differentiate your product.
Oh, we won't put you.
Come on, you can stand up. It's late in the afternoon. Stand if you don't differentiate, or you decided not to. You don't. Stand up if you differentiate your product. Good. Stand up. Come on. All right. So, Carlos, can you pick a volunteer to tell us how they differentiate?
You don't have to be put on the spot like that, but you seem good, brave, into the front. Let's do it. You don't have to do it too. I can pick somebody else.
Does anyone want to tell us how you differentiate? You don't tell us the product if you don't.
Hold on. What is it? You do custom packaging.
Custom packaging.
You do 3D colors. Unique colors. So something like you guys are familiar with that case study, Angry Orange. Are you familiar with it? The Thrasio product, and they got this carpet deodorizer that had these very muted colors, and they got a unique bright orange. They put this unique bright orange on this product that's now in this muted search of all these like pastels, and that bright orange stood out, and they crushed it and sold for more, that sort of thing. That works. I don't know how defensible that is long term, but that works.
Any other ideas of how you differentiate? Yes. You sell seed packs.
I love that. I know that category very well. If you add an app, you're going to kill it. Yeah.
So I got to connect you to with one of my students because now he's done that so well that he's bought all the machinery and now he separates out the seeds himself. Someone else. Somebody here.
So I sell bubbles. And
Bubbles.
You project good. You don't even need a mic.
He sells bubbles.
Bubbles. I'm your avatar.
How you make it, the end user part of the quality of materials within the different level devices. Where I'm showcasing the apps for our festivals and different experiences.
So you're differentiating through great marketing?
Then when the product now called Bubble 07, it's a bubble gun.
Bubble 07?
Yeah. It's like a bubble gun geared towards like when I have fun at festivals, like celebrating birthdays, and you don't want to have a little fish or nice green dinosaurs and bubbles.
Send me the link. I want to buy it. I'm going to play with my son. I'll buy it for real.
Bubble 07. I love that.
I want a Bubble 07.
Bubble. Does anyone out here a West Ham, a fan of West Ham United? Danny McMillan, Lyden Smithers, all the people who watch Ted Lasso. Their theme is bubbles. I'm forever blowing bubbles. So you could sell yours in London and do really, really well. Let's talk about differentiation that's not colors, packaging, marketing. Differentiation from knowing your customers. You know your customers, your US, American customers, culture of what happens in the United States better than any factory direct that you're going to compete with. So where's Christy? I told you I was there. There you are. Stand up, just because I'm going to embarrass you. I told you. We had this conversation yesterday, and I said, I'm going to call you out today. There she is. All right, if you flew in or you're flying back, you go to the airport, watch what happens at baggage claim. Suitcases, large suitcases with cup holders on them. What do the reviews say? The cup holder is not strong enough. The cup holder broke. If you're not in the United States, if you don't have a chance to see what the reality is, you're going to think that customers want what? Better cup holders, right? That's not true. How many people actually use the cup holders on the side of their suitcases? No one. Exactly. If you use it at all, maybe it's on your rolling suitcase, your carry-on, not on your big suitcase. Why? In the United States, you drive up to the airport, you check your bag. Sometimes at the curb, sometimes you go right into the airport, you check it. People who've come to China, they know. You line up, the police let you into the airport, you're going to be there for a while. And in China, they take a lot more trains than we do, and they take the big suitcase with them on the train. In the US, we don't do any of that. We take the big suitcase, we get out of our car, we get rid of it as soon as possible. So that cup holder is not being used then. But it is being used at baggage claim. Because when the suitcase comes out of baggage claim, it's laying flat. And that handle's hard to get to, particularly big suitcases, heavy suitcases. Watch this, you'll see this yourself. And those suitcases that have a cup holder, what are people doing? They're reaching down and they're grabbing the cup holder like an extra handle. They're lifting up their heavy suitcase and they're breaking the cup holders. So now you guys know this. You can see this yourself at the airports. So you're not going to differentiate by saying, aha, everyone's complaining, cup holder's not strong enough, cup holder broke, I'm going to make a stronger cup holder. Believe me, everyone who's not in the United States, they read the same reviews. There's even AI apps now that will read the reviews and tell you, oh, people are Rufus, complaining about the cup holder. No, you guys know the reality. So you differentiate by saying, hey, we're going to put a handle right there instead of a cup holder. Now people reach down, they're able to pick up the suitcase. It's easy, simple, done. You're able to see what customers really want. You're able to learn what customers are doing. You have this advantage. So all these other platforms and all the other competitors who are not in the market where you're selling, they don't see what you guys see. They're missing opportunities. You know what the most popular suitcase is going to be? The one with the extra handle on it. And that's because it's where we live. We know what the problems are. Make sense? How many people are going to, if you're stuck at baggage claim, look around to see how many people are breaking their cup handles? Absolutely. That's how you differentiate. differentiate significantly and differentiate intelligently.
Yeah, the differentiating intelligently is very important. Don't run out of here and just add something to your product to be different. Like, it needs to make sense.
Well, you could have in the past.
Yeah, you could have. When I started, you totally could have. I could have just put a handle on a toaster 15 years ago on Amazon, and it would have been great. Main image option, you know? But not the case nowadays.
I was at a pressing in New York, I was going to say the city. If you're not from New York, we call it the city, in New York City. And there was someone there selling toasters that burned in a silhouette of a dog breed into the toast. And he was selling container after container of this. You could get away with doing anything.
A scale I use for differentiation is sort of matching it with defensibility of the product. Like color, gentleman over here mentioned. That's a really good one. I don't know everything there is to know about color. I like using color as a differentiator, but I call it very non-defensible in the sense of, well, guess what? If I start killing it with fuchsia on my whatever, well, guess what you're going to do? You're going to start adding it. So it's cool, but not extremely defensible. My next one would be quantity, 2-pack. Again, you can see how easy somebody can go, oh my God, this one's doing great. Let me just add a 2-pack or a 3-pack. So I call that number 2 out of 10 on my defensibility differentiation scale. 3 and 4 is maybe using multiple factories, multiple OEMs to put different components of the product, making it a little harder for those weekend warriors who saw an amazing webinar and are super motivated and they just see a one-stop shop to get my product, just adding a little barrier. 5 for me is one that I do a lot, and it's sort of a hybrid that I discovered because I didn't always have my own brand 15 years ago. I used to just resell. And let's say you sell, I use this example a lot so you guys don't roll your eyes from Miami, but like say you sell food grade gloves. I'll partner with existing brands. Like imagine if you partnered with Pop Secret and now you had butter blocking gloves so you could eat popcorn without getting butter on your finger. Now you have a listing that sells for a higher amount with the keyword power of Pop Secret, obviously with their blessing. It's a win-win for everyone. So I call that more of like a hybrid. Then we're getting into technological differentiators, which would be something like an app. And then we start getting into licensing, which I love once you have some velocity. I go to a show in Vegas every year. We're in Vegas.
Is Eddie here? I know he's here.
Which is absolutely amazing once you have some velocity. It's actually very easy to do, and it's an amazing show to attend. And then we start getting into the stuff that is not for everyone, which is going to be your patents. But
so
it's sort of my scale in case
Eddie Levine, if anyone knows Eddie Levine, he's here. He and his wife, Jen. Yeah. She is the queen of licensing.
Yes, absolutely she is. I see
She's amazing. Let's go to the next slide. So, effective marketing. Guys, you have an opportunity more than anyone to market your product. In the midst of this chaos, this is your opportunity to succeed. Do not neglect marketing. Be more effective at marketing. So,
I think absolutely. And the way I leverage this so well in my business, really, I'd be remiss not to say where it begins. And it begins with your product selection. So if you have a product that this doesn't work for, then you're kind of stuck. You made a little mistake on your product selection. Just don't do it on the next one. But if you want to leverage a lot of these cool marketing tactics out there, if you want to leverage, say, a TikTok launch for your product and get a boost of 10-15% on Amazon, take advantage of a tool like PixelMe and run some Google traffic to your Amazon listing. If you want to do all those cool things, you need to have a product that makes sense for. So good product selection works. You're not going to create a whole bunch of really cool content on TikTok. I'm just going to use that as an example, or Amazon posts or Amazon Live video with the little things that go on the legs of those chairs on the bottom so they don't scrape the floor. Like, that's going to be very boring content. So if you know ahead of time that you don't want to be like the majority of people and just ignore marketing, pick a product that's going to make your marketing very easy to do. That's a super important one. You can't put lipstick on a pig, so to speak. The other thing here is that TTH method that I mentioned. Don't bring the product until you figured out things like my main image converts, it just crushes my competitors. Just don't do it. If you can't fix that or your budget doesn't allow it, skip the product, move on to another product. Understanding the keywords. Anybody here's CPC costs going down? Is PPC getting cheaper for anyone or paid ads? Nobody. It's not going to happen. It's going to keep going up. Pick a product that allows for that. Pick a product with the keywords that you need. You have the budget for it. Don't have a $100 budget per month to spend on ads, and the keyword you need to succeed is fat burner. You know, like, it all needs to line up. If you neglect some of these, you could kill it on something else that I said. You could get the ad. It's not going to work. So it's pretty critical you do that. I'll go out on a limb, and this is what I do, is I think we need to start looking at our brands and our companies as almost media companies in the sense. And bear with me, I don't mean the media you probably follow, whatever you follow, but there needs to be some thought to the message of your brand that's going out, to the strategic partnerships with other brands, to your paid ad strategies, the content that you're creating, whether it's an email newsletter, whether it's YouTube, whether it's whatever, pick your poison. But you need, for it to really work, you need to start thinking about your company, at least in part, as a media company. Or my bet is that a year from now, you're going to be struggling a lot more.
Yeah. What you have here is one bite of the apple. What you have here is one bite of the apple. What you have is people, if they're going to be on Amazon, your marketing has got to be so good that your product is in front of them, and it's got to be so compelling that they purchase it then and there, before they look at the competitors and before they look at other platforms. They say, I've got to have this. And that comes from good, strong, smart marketing.
And think about also all the marketplaces you're going to be on and what the pricing strategies need to be on those marketplaces. You understand that a lot of them are going to suppress your pricing on one if it doesn't match or be lower than another on another marketplace. So consider that when you're rolling it out. Consider making these two different products different SKUs so that, you know, with different UPC codes so that you can, I mean, there's a different fulfillment method on almost all these platforms. Consider that before you launch, before you mass produce something, so you can have a unique selling and pricing and fulfillment structure on each of these other marketplaces. There's no one size fits all.
No, there isn't.
The good news here is that it may sound like a headache, but through Alibaba and the supplier you're communicating with, they already know how to do this. So just reach out, explain the plan that you need to do, and it's pretty simple.
Yes. Right along that, I mentioned earlier dog snores, the pillowcases with the funny little sayings on them. They were absolutely fantastic. Sold really, really well. They were expensive, $30 a pop, 330 thread count, cotton, worth it. I had a second brand also, Slumber and Smiles. Similar type designs, not exactly copies, but similar. 85 GSM polyester, microfiber, much less price. I had both products. Nobody knew both brands belonged to me, but I was able to compete with myself with the less expensive brand, and anyone who wasn't buying the more expensive ones, both the less expensive ones, I was still putting money in my pocket. Let's go to the next slide. There we go. Brand loyalty. With all these different platforms and these other competitors, you want them coming back to you because you've built brand loyalty. So I get to throw that back to you again.
One of the moves I'm making here to do this is just a personal one. It doesn't work with everybody's brand, but if you're like most people that I speak with, you're pretty much product agnostic. You are passionate about cash flow and positive. Like that's what you're passionate about. And anybody agree with that? You're passionate about cash flow positive? Okay. This is Carmen raising her hand. Yeah, it's a hard yes there. Yeah. So one of the ways to do this, if you are product agnostic and you're approaching this, and it's again how I'm doing this moving forward, is the ability to build in things like subscribe and save, subscriptions, once you pay to get that sale, you continue to get it and you can continue to engage with the customer. Well, obviously, if you sell the little things that go on that chair, that's going to be close to impossible to do. So think about that when you're selling your product or choosing your product, rather, that is something that's built into what you're doing. That's been one of the better ways that we do it.
Yeah, and if you get subscriptions, you're bypassing all the competitors. That's a beautiful thing.
Wake up, every month there's 1,500 other guaranteed sales. That's amazing in your business.
Absolutely. So let's go to the next slide. By the way, for those folks who I made a joke about not spelling FBA, I've been sitting here watching his clock, thinking, okay, it's 25. You turn this off. Yeah, for a while now. Good. This, know what time it is here? Time is, this guy's an idiot. That's what I am. All right. So let's go to the next slide here. All right. Roses and weeds. Piles of weeds, very few roses. Roses and weeds. They take the same amount of sun, the same amount of water, same amount of soil, and people pay 10 times more for roses. Make sure that your products are the roses. Make them different, better, more beautiful. Let everyone else sell the weeds. You sell the roses, you will succeed in the middle of all these new platforms and so on.
I support that message.
She supports that message. I like that. All right, so let's go to this. You cannot differentiate based on bringing things in fast, using the de minimis rule, and so on. So, of 1,500 online consumers, Amazon and others, they polled them, 60% said low prices are the most important thing. And they're willing to forego this 2-day fast delivery. But that doesn't matter anymore. Everyone knows if you have friends or yourself and you start ordering from Temu or Shein, they are now starting to fulfill from within the United States. I will tell you that Amazon, their new direct from factory to the consumer division, or whatever that is, they will fulfill from the United States. I was told to my face by one of the top people in Amazon in China. They will ultimately be fulfilling from the United States. So that leaked article had that part of it wrong. So that's not going to be a differentiator anymore. Don't think, oh, I'm okay because I'm just selling on Amazon, people want it fast. The other thing is the de minimis rule, section 321. Has anyone ever heard about this? This is the $800 thing. I see some head shaking. So the rule is, if you import something that's under $800, you don't have to pay duties and taxes. Actually, that's not the rule. The rule is, if you import something under $800, you don't have to pay duties or taxes unless you import more than $10,000 worth of goods. And I'm looking out here. Okay, so there is someone here who has 19 years experience, including being chief of police for Customs and Border Protection. And he will tell you the exact same thing I'm telling you right now, because this is the guy that was enforcing it on the West Coast. But he's not in the room today. If you are not importing more than $10,000, import, that's the key word. All of these companies that are sending from China to here, that are fulfilling in China and sending to customers, they're not importing more than 10,000. They're exporting more than 10,000 into the United States. That is an easy fix. They're not going to get rid of that $800 window. They're simply going to add in an additional word for those people who are importing or those companies that are exporting more than $10,000. That's an easy fix. It's a political year. Don't expect to see anything happen until after elections, and give it a few more months. But within 12 months' time, that loophole is going to be gone. So don't depend on that to compete. I'm so glad this is being recorded. It's like, I'm going to have some politician show me doing it. Differentiated products are easier to sell on other platforms, on your own site, and frankly, in physical stores. Go online, research it out if you don't believe me, but 9 out of 10 products are still bought in stores in the United States. Department of Commerce does a survey every single month, every quarter. It's just about 16% now is e-commerce. That means 85% is still sold in physical stores. If you differentiate intelligent, if you have the suitcase with the handle, or in fact, in my case, the pillowcases, physical stores love selling those too. What happens then? All of these other places that are selling direct from factory to consumers, they can't even touch you. And you're making money. That's what we want to do. We want to make money.
Yeah, two great examples of that are actually here. If anybody here has a retail storefront, and that's probably not most of you, but if you do have a retail storefront and you do have a product, you want to figure out a way to really leverage that. One of my business partners is actually in the back, Andres, raise your hand back there. Talk to that guy right there with the Salsa Kings brand. So, really cool
stand
strategy.
Up,
yeah, make him stand up. I really want to embarrass him right there. Yes. Oh, he's not embarrassing. Right beside him, actually, another phenomenal example of that is my friend Ricky. You can make him stand up too. Founder of Creations by Natalie. So anybody that wants to hear those kind of strategies on how to use fulfillment by merchant and other real cool strategies for his brand, like that would be someone you want to pick their brain, mob up around him right after this, and ask him all the questions you want.
That's right.
Very social. He's very social. Very friendly.
I want you guys to surround him like a guy who has dog biscuits in his pocket and went to the dog.
Or as we say in Spanish, like a white on rice.
All right. Let's move forward on the slide. You are the king of your own site. So you own that. As we just said, you can sell in physical retailers as well. Remember this, as new platforms come on board for e-commerce, they're not going to increase the amount of e-commerce. They're just going to start fighting with each other for market share. That means Amazon's market share is actually going to go down. That's more reason for you to be thinking about how to differentiate against everyone else on Amazon, how to compete on Amazon and these other platforms. I'm assuming this means nothing, and I don't see the woman out there. The woman with the cards has given up. She left and went home.
Building a presence where foreign factories cannot compete, or a product that might have barriers to compete in other countries is a huge one. One that I do, and I know some of you know, is I have a really weird niche. Not as cool as Bubbles, but my largest brand, which will break 90 million in sales alone, is on live insects. So nobody is going to, so we breed live insects and sell them online to reptile owners, right? Nobody's importing live insects to sell, right? So I've eliminated all foreign competition by choosing a product. You can do that without getting into breeding, so don't worry about it. There's a lot of things you can do. That's one example of that on how you could do it.
And the other thing is, recognize that your factory, they want to make money too. So now if you have differentiated intelligently, if you have done marketing correctly, suddenly you're selling a lot of products. You're able to sell to physical retailers. You're selling more and more products. Your factory is going to realize that you are the goose that's laying the golden egg. They're happy to sell their products direct to U.S. consumers. They're not going to sell your product to U.S. consumers because your product, they don't want to lose you as a customer. They're not going to compete against you. They want you to be successful because you're bringing in more money than they possibly could on their own. And of course, as you increase the amount you sell, what happens to the price? It goes down. So this is a real recipe for success if you think about it at the very, very beginning. Next slide. All right, so here's the bonus. Quality. Ask people what they think of the quality of the products that are coming in. Chuck, what do you think of the, I'm going to get him, there we go. What do you think of the quality of the products that are coming off of these new low cost, low value platforms? It's terrible. Now, the reality is, there are products there that are not terrible quality, but they have that reputation. They have that perception. They've got to fight against that. And that gives you an opening. Make sure that your products have good quality from the start. And this is another way we get to thank our folks here from Alibaba by looking for the Alibaba verified, wow, that's going all over the place, verified badge, gold supplier, and so on. You do that, and you're going to have the quality from the beginning. And you don't have to fight that back.
We got the amazing, it is over, from the amazing people over there. Thank you so much. Our time is up.
Somebody hold it up.
I will say I'm going to be here the rest of the event. I love talking to all of you. If anything I said resonated with you, I have nothing to sell you, anything like that. I'd love to talk shop with you, share ideas, see what works. Just come up to me. Make sure you mob Ricky and my business partner, make them feel very uncomfortable when we leave here. And yeah, from my side, thank you very much. A huge thank you to Alibaba. Thank you. I know we're the only thing between you and partying in Vegas for the rest of the night.
That's right. There is the gala. Reminder for folks who are going to the gala tonight, it's on the 3rd floor at 7 p.m. And then Carlos and I are going to be around here. We'll hang out for a little while here. We'll be around here tonight, tomorrow. You have questions, come up and ask us. Because we were talking about this at the beginning. We realized, we both said we could talk about this all day long. There is so much information, so much to learn. You guys have an opportunity now to set yourself apart from everyone else. And that means you guys have an opportunity to make a lot more money. Thank you.
Thank you. Make sure I get a link to 007 too. Thank you.